Welcome back to What's Going On East Hampton. I'm Matt Lownes here with guest Michael Daly from Douglas. How do you say? I've always wondered, how do you say the company's name?
Well, I'm here today from East End YIMBY.
YIMBY.
But, I'm an associate broker and team lead with Douglas Elliman Real Estate.
Okay, Douglas
in Sag
Elliman.
Harbor. Yeah.
Okay, and so Michael, you are very passionate about affordable housing out here. You have an organization, YIMBY, that was started a year ago, I believe.
Actually, in 2017.
Oh, it started in 2017.
Yeah,
okay. So
we've been at this for 5 years.
Wow. So YIMBY is an organization that is in my backyard.
Correct.
We'll get more on that in a little bit, but let's start off with your background. How did you get to where you are today here in the Hamptons?
Yeah, it's been a long and circuitous route, I must say that, like a lot of people. But I was born in Brooklyn and raised in Queens, and my grandmother bought a big farmhouse built in the 1800s in West Hampton in 1960 when I was just a wee bit. And so I had the good fortune. I was the luckiest kid in my neighborhood to be able to spend the summers here in West Hampton. We called it the country. And when I grew up, got married, had children, lived on the West Coast, lived up in Boston, always dreamed of coming back and bringing my family here, which I did in 1996. So been here for 25 years, full time. And when I got here, I was a hospitality consultant. I worked in the hotel restaurant business. And got my real estate license. And because how many different kinds of jobs, if you're not a fisher person or a farmer or in tourism, where is the opportunities out here? And so I got my real estate license, and I've been in real estate for 23 years. Bought my house in North Haven in 2004. Which I couldn't afford today, by the way, if I needed to.
Yeah.
And just love and live the East End.
Yeah, it's a very similar story to my parents. My mom was Queens based. My dad was Great Neck based. My dad's aunt was always out here, lived out here, and he visited in the summers as a kid. My parents built a house in the Bell Estate area in Amagansett in 1990. So they've been here since then.
Yeah.
Same though as you. They wouldn't be able to afford it now if they tried doing it today. Which brings us to your organization, YIMBY. How did you become so passionate about affordable housing out in the East End?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I've always been, before I got into hotels and restaurants, I was in mental health. And I've always been kind of that helper kind of person. Yeah. I'm a retired altar boy. I'm a retired choir boy, And as real estate, I saw over the years, I saw us pricing local people, fishers, farmers, artists, people who work in the tourism industry, the people in our heritage industries that make the East End what it is. Mm-hmm. I saw us pricing those folks out of the market and their children. Right? I mean, how many young people do you know that have tried 3 and 4 times to come out here and find a place to live and get a job and try to live here because they want to be near family, they want to be near friends, they want to enjoy the East End, but can't. There's always, it's such a challenge. So this affordable housing is really kind of like a carbon offset. For me, it's like I know I'm contributing to real estate, and I sell homes to a lot of wealthy people, but I also sell a lot of homes for a lot of people like us, like myself. And I wanted to contribute back to the education and training around affordable housing and find out why it's so difficult to have adequate affordable community housing for our neighbors and for ourselves.
So your organization, you work on educating people about maybe the myths or your organization is called YIMBY. And then of course you're enemies are NIMBY.
Exactly.
Not an official organization, but it stands for Not in My Backyard. Not that it's meant to be competitive against one another, but it is. Explain a bit about what YIMBY, what the main goal is over like a long-term period.
Our goal is to, first of all, do the research to understand where the barriers are to affordable housing. Then take that research and educate other local people so that we can then educate other local people and so on and so forth. But it's not only about education, it's about showing up at critical town board, village board, CAC meetings, and talking to people around the levers on affordable housing. And I'll tell you, if you're not educated, when a NIMBY or a cave person, and I'll describe the 4 different types of people in a second, starts telling you about all these bad things that are going to come from affordable housing, if you're not educated and you don't know how to respond, you go, oh, okay. All right. Okay. And you walk away.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to educate ourselves as to the truths around community housing in order to advocate for it. And then the final thing is everybody's talking about affordable housing, just like everybody's talking about real estate, just like everybody's talking about politics. But if you don't show up, and if you don't take action and you don't write letters, nothing is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because the politicians, the people who are on these boards, both elected and appointed, are local residents, and local residents are the NIMBYs, and the NIMBYs come into these positions, and then even if their heart changes, if they don't have the support to make the decisions that need to be made, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's 4 types of people, if I can tell you.
Yeah.
There's those who just really don't care. My life is fine. It's cool. Let somebody else worry about it. That's number 1. Number 2, there are cave people.
Yeah.
Cave people are citizens against virtually everything. Okay. And they are very often retired, and they look at all the papers and see what hearings are coming up, and they just go to these meetings, and they get up and they shake their fingers and they yell at the politicians, and they threaten them that they'll make sure they don't get reelected if they do this. And they talk about traffic and the environment and the schools and taxes and this and that, about pretty much everything.
Yeah.
The third type of person is the NIMBY. And the NIMBYs very often are nice people who believe in that there should be affordable housing.
Just not in their
just
backyard.
Not in my backyard.
Yeah.
Because, and a lot of really nice people have been NIMBYs.
No, I mean, you see it elsewhere as well. You see it like in California with the homeless in those particular areas, but you see it all across the country. Just, this is more of a local scale.
Yeah.
So the 4th person being?
The 4th person is a YIMBY.
Yeah.
And a YIMBY is actually an educated NIMBY who, because many times the NIMBYs are acting on their misconception about and the myths of affordable housing that is going to hurt the environment. Every affordable house that goes up, whether it be single family or multifamily, has got to meet the same design, safety, codes, and environmental standards of every other home. You could drive down Dune Road in Bridgehampton right now, which is this small section of Dune Road off of Mecox and Jobs. And there's like 15,000 square foot homes going up with 7, 8, 9, 10 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms on the ocean. So those homes had to meet environmental standards. And you didn't see people at meetings, you can't put that big house up there, it's not safe, and there are going to be too many people coming to it, and there's going to be too much traffic, and it's going to hurt our schools, and it's going to kill the environment, once you're educated around the myths, and I did a piece on the myths that came out in the Southampton Press a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, we have to be educated as to the realities around affordable housing, and then literally take action.
Yeah.
In order to be a YIMBY.
Yeah.
And that's what our organization is now doing. Like I said, I've been at it for 5 years, and I've been mostly a one-man show. Recently joined forces with Brian E. Frage, who is an East Hampton licensed therapist.
Okay.
And she had a group called Solidarity Sundays that had been meeting over the last 4 or 5 years to take action on social issues. And she said, Michael, there's no more important issue facing us right now than housing. Yeah. Let's join forces. And us joining forces has really energized us.
Great. I guess when people think of affordable housing out here, they think of down in Amagansett, those two complexes down in Whalebone or wherever it may be, the general like unit complex, whatever it may be. What is a radical idea? What is something that nobody's thinking of that we can do out here? And color me crazy, say what you want. I'm young, naive. Why can't we just put a high-rise up, a high-rise apartment building? What is the big deal? I'm sick of the people. Oh, we have to preserve the nature. We can't have anything higher than 3 stories. Well, I'm a Penn State alum. I just went back up there 2 weeks ago with my mother. She's a Penn State alum. They put up 3 brand new high rises that look beautiful, 100, 300, 200 plus units. Why can't we do that out here? What is stopping us from doing that? It is time to move past we can't do that here. This is the Hamptons. You don't want to see a high rise. We can make them look good. That's my point. Am I crazy for saying something like this?
I don't disagree. What's in our book, the definition of an environmentalist is somebody who bought a house yesterday. Mm-hmm. The definition of somebody who cares about the area is somebody who bought a house yesterday. While they're looking for a house, they'll buy a really nice new house on a piece of farmland that had been sold because farms are very expensive to run and, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, close the gate. We don't want anybody else in. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's too much traffic. Oh, the environment, blah, blah, blah. We can handle all of those issues. And yeah, we could do high rises, or we could do expansive low rises too. It is, it's basically colonialism and capitalism run amok. And I'm not going to educate on anybody on colonialism in this session. You can talk to the Shinnecocks and the Montaukets about colonialism. Okay. Capitalism, which has helped create one of the strongest countries in the world, has run amok and has gone too far. We've lost our compassion.
I mean, we saw it here. I think one effect of the pandemic out here, you saw it after 9/11. There was a mini exodus to the Hamptons and elsewhere out of New York City. Didn't last. 9/11 was obviously integral in this country and it changed everything overnight, but the pandemic lasted way longer, and you had an absurd group of people that just came out here, bought houses, double the price, extra 20% here, cash buys. Right. I mean, ridiculous rentals for just a weekend. Right. And you saw the shopping centers go out. They couldn't get enough food here, the freezers, everything. Everybody knows all the issues that were surrounded. But one thing that I noticed this summer, businesses has had enough, especially the local businesses, whether it be Mary's Marvelous, Astro's Pizza, Hampton Chutney has to move, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Local businesses are getting squeezed and just hired and ending. John Papa's is on the market. Yep. Brent's has gone on and off. Yep. People are not thinking about that. And, when you speak about what happened in the pandemic, how do we get back to getting local businesses and, putting it back together pre-pandemic? Is that even possible in your opinion, or are we too far gone?
I don't know if we're going to put anything back together. I think we need to recognize where we're at right now and go from here.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with having love and compassion for our fellow man, and being true to what we say about ourselves as Americans and East End people. You know, the words, you know, this land, the song really is, this land is my land, this land's not your land. You know what I mean? Homeowners get into this kind of crazy and some of them psychotic situation of feeling like they have to do everything to protect their home and their value and this and that. And everything becomes a threat to what they see as their entitlement as homeowners. Mm-hmm. It's really homeowners against non-homeowners. It's the entitled people. You know, if you tell somebody that you're a renter, they're like, oh my God, you poor thing, you're a renter, you know? And we need to make space for everyone in our community. This freedom and justice for all thing, you know, it's really freedom and justice for wealthy white people, right, who own a house. Tell me where the freedom and justice is for everybody in our community, okay? Everyone who's not a wealthy white homeowner.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. Okay, it's gone too far. So high rises are absolutely a possibility. I just was speaking with a fellow who does modular hotel and apartment building all over the world. And we met with a town official, okay? And I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah, I would leave it at that.
Okay? And he said, I'm prepared to have 2,000 to 2,500 workforce housing units built for you in the next year. I can get it done in the next year because I have all the materials, I have all the furniture, I have the design people at hand. He showed us some renderings of some of the projects he's done all over the world. And he was laughed at. Oh, that won't happen here. The environmentalists will never let it happen. And we don't have space for it. Well, you know what? We do have space for it. And if there isn't clear space for it right now, based on the fact that these wealthy homeowners have created zoning ordinances that don't allow anything like this in order to protect the value, their perceived value of their homes, then we've got to go back and we've got to create zoning for multifamily homes. We've got to allow people to turn their homes into multifamily homes. Yeah. We have people, there's a whole group of people in North Sea. I've met with CACs around the East End who've said, we want to be able to have multifamily houses in North Sea. I'm getting older. I want to be able to share my house with my friend, but I want him to have his own private space and I have mine. But we can't do it because single family zoning is one of the biggest blockades of having multifamily homes. And that's been done over generations of people trying to protect their investment.
And you said, well, there's the Community Preservation Fund, the CPF. And
where is the community taken into consideration in the Community Preservation Fund?
And you're right. And
it's a misnomer.
My understanding is it's what, 2% on sale of the home goes to the CPF?
Currently, it's 2% over $250,000 for a single family residence in the townships of East Hampton and Southampton. It's over 150 in some of the other townships.
Yeah. So, and the town can then go and use that money to buy land to put affordable housing on or whatever.
No, they can't.
They can't.
It's a very, very strict doctrine for the Community Preservation Fund. The Land Preservation Fund is really for land, farmland, open space. The intent of it was really brilliant. The intent of it was absolutely brilliant. It was to help to preserve farmland so that farmers could actually farm on it, and to preserve some of the most beautiful open spaces and vistas. But the problem is it's just been abused, and it's become used and sometimes for political favors to preserve this so I don't have to have another house next to me. It's given the opportunity for wealthy landowners to take property near them and neuter it from any opportunity for development so that they can have beautiful big backyards and get tax benefits from it. I mean, that's the cynical look at it.
Yeah.
But it's done some really terrific things. It's preserved. I mean, talk to John Halsey from the Peconic Land Trust, and he's one of the heroes. And Fred Thiel was instrumental at putting together, along with a couple of other major local people, the Community Preservation Fund. But it's now turning into it's a misnomer. It's
almost like a backdoor way to get around things for the wealthy.
It has been abused, but it also has done a lot of good. And listen,
so how do we steer?
You live here. Well,
how do we steer it? You know, the question is, and we only really have another 7 minutes or so, but the question is, how do we steer that back into helping the community and not individuals?
Yeah, well, one way that has been done is by doing another referendum to put 25% of those CPF funds. By the way, Southampton Fund has now received over $1 billion.
Yeah, I thought I read something along the lines of, because most of the homes out here, especially in the last 18 months, were easily over $250,000.
Oh gosh.
Or over $150,000. So the 2%, that adds up quick.
It does. Now Southampton is the gorilla.
Yeah.
You know, it's the biggest Magilla gorilla. It's the largest town.
Yep.
It's the most populated, now up to almost 70,000 people.
Wow.
Double the land mass, double the population of East Hampton. Yet East Hampton, I will put in there after my meeting this week with Peter Van Scoyac. And I knew this before meeting with Peter, but East Hampton has more affordable units per capita than any of the other towns on the East End. So now some people say, well, you know, some of them are not really that great looking, but we've talked about that too. And it's about wanting to parochially have control over the design and building of that. And maybe we need to look at getting some help from some real professional developers in the future. But Southampton is the biggest township that we have and gets the most money and has the least amount of affordable housing aside from Shelter Island.
Yeah.
Shelter Island, you know, it's a whole nother
it's
story.
a whole nother, it's its own entity. And you know,
I want to answer your question is, so water quality is helping because some of that money can go towards sewage treatment.
Yep, which is a very important thing out here.
Upgrading septic systems to allow for some more development. The other thing that's on the docket now is what Fred Thiel put forth about adjusting that CPF to over 250 to like 300 or 350 or something, and taking an additional 0.5% to put towards community housing. A problem with that is Governor Cuomo vetoed it. Governor Hochul, Hochul has not signed it yet. There's a big push to have her sign it. But the reality is, once she signs it, it then has to go through an actual referendum in each of the 5 towns before they can adopt it. So we have to run through another election cycle. Best case scenario is November of 2022. And once that is done, then the infrastructure for collecting those funds need to be collected before they can be used. And my feeling is it's at least 2 to 3 years away before that has any impact, number one. And number two, if the towns start collecting money, but still have this exclusionary zoning in place in their townships, what will they be able to do with it? They won't be able to do much with it at all. We have to eliminate single family zoning and create workforce housing zoning districts and multifamily housing zoning districts in every township, in every village, and in every hamlet on the East End.
Yeah, and I know Jerry Larson, the mayor of the village of East Hampton, is very passionate about fixing the sewage treatment in the village of East Hampton.
Amen.
Whether that be getting more restaurants and more life on the street, or just the simple ability to put apartments above shops. There is solutions there. It's not a grand scale, but he is working on that. And the fact of the matter is, I also think we need to come up with some thinking outside the box solutions.
Amen.
We have, and this is just being honest, we have so many millionaires out here that use their house for what, a month, a year? Maybe they go to the Hamptons for August. Maybe. Let me know if this idea could work. This is my radical $1 million idea. Give tax breaks to those homeowners to let young professionals, whether it be police officers, teachers, town workers, plumbers, etc., live in the houses from Labor Day to July 1st or June 20th, whatever it may be, when school and everything ends. They get tax breaks on their homes. Young professionals have a place to live. They could figure it out for the rest of the summer, live with their parents, whatever it may be. But could that work?
I tell you, that's an idea worth walking through the process. It is absolutely an idea. Another idea,
the homes are being unused.
Well, another idea is to allow accessory dwelling units on any and all properties here on the East End, so that I could put a tiny home, ADU.
Yep.
We can do it to building standards. We can do them to water treatment standards on any property that can physically accommodate it here on the East End. But people are like, oh, density. They use the word density as a 4-letter word. Density is what makes business districts work. Yeah. Look at Sag Harbor, why it's more vibrant.
It's amazing.
Because it has a sewer system, sewer treatment plant. Look at the deadness of East Hampton Village, Amagansett Village, Bridgehampton Village,
Montauk in the winter as well.
Montauk in the winter, because they don't have. And the Suffolk, I got to tell you, the Suffolk County Health Department is a very important part of this quotient, where they have put arbitrary standards in of what groundwater can accept in terms of nitrogen. But the thing is, all of the equipment, all of the sewage treatment pieces and parts are available to us at significantly less money today, but we don't want to see it. And like parochial in nature, we're not looking at what other people are doing all around the country.
Look at Patchogue. Patchogue used to be, I'm not being rude to Patchogue at all, but in the 80s, Patchogue, 90s, Patchogue wasn't the nicest place.
Absolutely.
It is beautiful now. You go downtown to Patchogue, bars, restaurants, music, things to do. It's beautiful. But people out here don't want Patchogue.
That's right, because we're not Patchogue. Go out and ask 10 people today. We should actually go out and do a road show, okay? And let's walk through some of our villages, you and I, and say, you know what? I just wanted to talk to you about how successful Patchogue is since they've redeveloped it and done a lot of community housing. Don't you think we should do that there?
Can't we have
and let's have them on camera. You're going to have to wear a flak jacket. We're not Patchogue. We're the East End.
Can't we have a bar where me, a 24-year-old young male, can just go play pool and watch some sports? No, Best Pizza is the only thing we have.
I did that 40 years ago at Quag East Pub, but I don't know what's happening over there now.
All right. Well, we do have to wrap up. I really appreciate it. It was a great interview. We will definitely work together in the future. And I really appreciate it. And hopefully we can only get more word out there and education.
And my pleasure to be with you.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Have a good day.